Imagine you are sitting on your couch. Your dog is right there beside you, tail wagging, eyes soft, maybe even rolling over for a belly rub. Everything looks perfect. Everything looks happy. And then one day, out of nowhere, something goes wrong. Your dog snaps, or stops eating, or starts hiding in corners. And you think to yourself, how did I miss this? I thought everything was fine. I thought my dog was happy. But here is the truth that most dog owners never get told. A happy-looking dog and a truly happy dog are not always the same thing. And the gap between those two things, that invisible gap, is where real danger lives. Stay with me because what I am about to share with you is going to change the way you see your dog forever. And I mean that. Let us start with something that happened with a dog named Max. Max was a 4-year-old golden retriever. His family adored him. They posted pictures of him constantly, tail always wagging, always smiling, always at someone's feet. Their friends and followers would comment, "That dog lives the best life," and they believed it too. Until one Tuesday morning, Max bit their 7-year-old daughter. Not a small nip, a real bite. The family was in shock. The neighbors were confused. The vet was called, and everyone kept asking the same question. Why? He was always so happy. He was always so good. But here is what nobody understood. Max had been sending signals for over a year. Small ones at first, then louder ones. And every single time, those signals were misread as happiness, as excitement, as normal dog behavior. That is the part that should make you stop and think. Because if it happened to Max's family, and they loved that dog with everything they had, it can happen to anyone. So let us talk about what happiness actually looks like in a dog. And more importantly, what it does not look like. Most of us were raised to believe that a wagging tail means a happy dog. Full stop. Tail up, tail wagging, dog is happy. That is the rule we learned. Maybe from our parents, maybe from movies, maybe just from growing up around dogs. And here is the problem with that rule. It is dangerously incomplete. A wagging tail does not mean happiness. A wagging tail means arousal. It means your dog's nervous system is activated. It means something is happening emotionally, but that something could be joy. It could also be anxiety. It could be overstimulation. It could even be the early stages of aggression. The tail does not tell you which one. You have to look deeper than the tail, and this is where things start to get interesting, because when you actually learn to read what a dog's body is saying, beyond just the tail, you start to see a completely different world. You start to notice things you never noticed before, and some of those things are going to be uncomfortable to look at. Let me describe something, and I want you to think about whether you have ever seen this. Your dog is in a room full of people. Maybe it is a family gathering or a party. Everyone is excited. Kids are running around. Music is playing. Your dog is right in the middle of it, tongue out, tail going back and forth, moving from person to person. And everyone is saying, "Look how much he loves this. He is in his element." But look closer. Is that tongue lolling lazily to the side in a relaxed way? Or is the dog panting just a little too fast? Are the eyes soft and slow blinking? Or are they wide, slightly showing white at the edges? Is the body loose and wiggly? Or is there a subtle stiffness, a slight tightening through the shoulders? These are not small details. These are the difference between a dog who is genuinely enjoying that moment and a dog who is overwhelmed, overstimulated, and desperately trying to cope with a level of stress that its body was not built to handle. And here is the brutal part. To the untrained eye, both of those dogs look exactly the same. Both are in the middle of the action. Both have wagging tails. Both seem engaged. But one of them is suffering, and nobody in the room knows it. This is what dog psychologists and animal behaviorists call a displacement behavior. When a dog cannot escape a stressful situation, it does not always shut down. Sometimes it leans in. Sometimes it performs. Sometimes it acts almost hyperactive, like it is trying to burn off the anxiety through movement and engagement. And from the outside, that performance looks like happiness. It mimics happiness so closely that even experienced dog owners get fooled. But that is not the real reason this is so dangerous. The real reason is what comes after. When a dog operates at that level of stress for extended periods, something builds up inside them. Think of it like a stress bucket. Every overwhelming experience, every loud environment, every time they could not escape, every time they felt trapped or confused or ignored their signals, all of that goes into the bucket. And most of the time, the bucket stays just below the surface. The dog keeps coping, keeps performing happiness, keeps going, until one day, something small, something completely ordinary, a child reaching for a toy near them, a stranger moving too fast, even just a sound, tips the bucket over. And then everyone is shocked, because they only saw the happiness. They never saw the bucket filling up. Now I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this. Think about the last week you spent with your dog. Not the highlights, not the good moments. The whole week. Were there moments where your dog tried to move away from something and you encouraged them to go back? Were there times your dog went quiet in a way that felt different but you dismissed it because they looked okay? Were there moments where your dog did something slightly off, maybe a low growl, maybe a stiff body, and it passed so quickly that you let it go? Because here is what most dog owners do not realize. Every one of those moments was your dog communicating. Every single one. Dogs do not have words, they have body language. They have microsignals so refined and so layered that researchers have spent entire careers trying to decode them. And your dog is using those signals all day, every day, trying to tell you exactly how they feel. The question is whether you are learning the language. Let us talk about some of the specific signals that get misread the most. And I am going to describe real scenarios because I want this to land. Not just sit in your head as abstract information. Picture a dog at the vet, sitting very still, very quiet, not pulling, not barking, not reacting to anything. The owner turns to the vet tech and says, "He is actually really calm. He never used to be like this, but he has gotten so good." And the vet tech smiles politely. But what that vet tech knows, and what that owner does not, is that this dog is not calm. This dog is shut down. There is a massive difference. A calm dog has a relaxed body, easy breathing, soft eyes, the ability to take treats, the ability to look around with mild curiosity. A shut-down dog is frozen. It has gone past the point of fight or flight and moved into a state of learned helplessness. It has stopped reacting because reacting has never changed anything. That stillness is not peace. That stillness is surrender, and the owner read it as improvement, as growth, as their dog becoming more comfortable. When actually what happened over months and months of vet visits that felt overwhelming and were never addressed was that the dog simply gave up trying to communicate. Distress. That is heartbreaking. And it is incredibly common. Here is another one. Yawning. If your dog yawns around new people, or during training, or when things feel tense in the house, most owners think the dog is tired. Makes sense, right? Yawning means tired. We learned that in kindergarten. But in dog psychology, a yawn in those contexts is almost never about tiredness. It is a calming signal. It is your dog actively trying to lower the tension in the environment. It is the dog equivalent of taking a deep breath. They are telling you this is a lot for me right now. I am trying to manage myself. And if you keep pushing past that signal because you think they are just sleepy, you are asking them to keep going without acknowledging they asked for a pause. And this is where mistakes happen. Not because owners are bad people, not because they do not love their dogs, but because nobody ever taught them that a yawn can mean something this important. Let us go even deeper, because this is where dog psychology gets genuinely fascinating. There is a concept in behavioral science called the stress response window. Every individual dog, based on its genetics, its early socialization, its past experiences, and its current health, has a specific window of tolerance. Inside that window, the dog can learn, can play, can bond, can handle challenges. But the moment something pushes them outside that window, everything changes. Learning stops. Trust can fracture. The brain shifts into pure survival mode. And here is the thing about that window. You cannot see it from the outside by just looking at your dog's face. You have to know the full picture. You have to know what went into the bucket that week. You have to know whether your dog slept well, whether they ate well, whether the last walk was enjoyable or stressful, whether the kids were loud last night. All of it matters, because the bucket fills from everything, not just the obvious stuff. This is why two dogs can be in the exact same situation and respond completely differently. One dog sees the new dog at the park and plays beautifully. The other dog sees that same new dog and immediately tenses up, growls, or even snaps. And the owner of the second dog is embarrassed. They say he has never done this before. He is usually so friendly. But what they do not realize is that yesterday their dog had a bad grooming experience, and this morning there was a thunderstorm that rattled the windows, and the car ride to the park was loud and chaotic. And by the time that new dog appeared, the bucket was already full. The park was just the moment it tipped. So the question becomes, what do we do with all of this? And I do not want to just give you a list of tips. I want you to understand something at a deeper level, because if you understand the why, the what to do becomes obvious. Your dog is not trying to be difficult. Your dog is not trying to manipulate you or dominate you or challenge your authority. These are outdated ideas that behavioral science has largely moved away from. What your dog is doing all the time, every single day, is trying to communicate their internal state to you using the only language they have. And when that communication is consistently missed or misunderstood, dogs do not give up on communicating. They escalate. They try louder signals, signals that are harder to ignore. Sometimes those louder signals are destructive behavior. Sometimes they are anxiety-based habits like compulsive licking or spinning or pacing. Sometimes, in the most serious cases, they are aggression. And every single time that escalation happens, the dog was already a book that had been trying to tell its story in quieter chapters for a long time. So what does a truly happy dog actually look like? Let me paint that picture for you, because I think it is important to have something real to compare against. A truly happy dog moves through the world in a loose, almost wiggly way. Not hyperactive, not frantic, but genuinely soft and fluid. They check in with you regularly, glancing back during a walk, coming to sit near you not because they are anxious, but because they genuinely want to be close. They can settle in a new environment without being asked. They can take treats gently even when excited. They sleep deeply. They recover quickly from surprises. When something startles them, they look at it, process it, and move on. They do not carry the stress forward into the rest of their day. And here is the part that surprises most people. A truly happy dog also knows how to say no. They know how to walk away from something that does not feel right. And critically, in a healthy home, they are allowed to. Because one of the greatest gifts you can give your dog is the freedom to disengage. To say, actually, I do not want to be petted right now. To say, this is a bit much for me today. And to trust that you will listen. Because when a dog learns that their signals are heard, something incredible happens. The need to escalate disappears. The bucket stays lower. The behavior becomes more stable. The trust between you deepens in a way that nothing else can replicate. Not training techniques, not treats, not toys, real trust. Built on real communication. I want to leave you with this thought, because I think it is the most important thing. In this entire video, the dogs who seem the happiest are not always the ones who are actually fine. And the dogs who seem the most challenging, the ones who react, the ones who growl or hide or refuse, Those dogs are often the clearest communicators of all. They have not been trained out of their signals yet. They are still trying. They are still sending the message. The question is always whether we are willing to slow down enough to hear it. If you have watched this far, I think you are exactly the kind of person who is willing to hear it. And that matters more than you know. Because the dogs who change their owners' minds are the ones who eventually get the lives they deserve. Take a moment today, not to train your dog, not to correct anything. Just watch. Watch the way they move through a room. Watch what they do when they are tired versus when they are overwhelmed. Watch what happens in their body the next time something surprises them. Start reading the chapters they have already been writing. Because I promise you, once you start seeing it, you will never stop, and your relationship with your dog will never be the same. If this opens something up for you, share it with someone who loves their dog, because this is the kind of information that changes outcomes. And subscribe if you want to keep going deeper, because there is so much more to understand about the animal who has chosen to spend its entire life with you. They deserve for us to understand them as well as they understand us. Maybe even better.